Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I love talking to creative people about how they do their thing, how they hang in there, what their work means to them, etc. And today my guest is a writer. His name is Jon Kinnally. He was a writer for almost the whole entire seasons of all of Will and Grace. He was on the writing staff there. But he has a new book out called I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. There's stories, essays about his life. I found it very funny. I found it very moving. I related to so much of it because we're similar ages. So a lot of the pop culture references from when he was growing up, I was like, yep. Christy McNichol, yep. I've got, like so many of those things I related to. And I just really enjoyed reading it. And I really enjoyed talking to Jon. I used to see him in spinning class all the time back in the, I don't even know what decade. It was a while ago. So it was fun to read his book and to have a fun conversation with him from Spain. He lives in Spain, you guys, with his husband. Anyway, he did that thing we were all thinking about doing. They did it. Anyway, before I get to that, I want to remind you that this podcast is pretty much brought to you by me. I have some sponsors that play before and after, but you guys, I just got my first check for that. It wasn't even a check. It was like one of those, when you get residuals for some thing you did and it's like literally in the sense, it was like that feeling. But anyway, I'm still here. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to DennisAnyone.net. There's a tip jar there, a virtual tip jar. You can leave a tip there, or you can join my Patreon and my Substack. It's the same thing. It's called Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. I do similar content to here. I talk about creativity. I talk about pop culture-y things. I do magazine flashbacks, but I end every episode with something about happiness. The science of it, what I've learned, tips and tools, things I'm thinking about. I don't have answers, but I'm interested in the topic, and I find that there are things that have helped me, and maybe you'll find it interesting. So that's what that is. Go to Patreon or Substack and subscribe to Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. And the other thing is you can become a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of the Derek and Romaine family. A lot of crazy queer shows on there, fun shows, silly shows, really informative, smart shows. And for a monthly fee, you get my show early, and you get all these other great shows. So go to dnrstudios.com to learn more about that. One other thing I want to plug, the Mismatch Game is coming back to Gay Days Anaheim on Saturday, September 13th. We're going to do our show there. It's become kind of a thing down there. Like, there's people that come back every year, and they know inside jokes from the year before. It's kind of nuts. So learn about that at Gay Days Anaheim. All right, that's enough of the plugs. Here now is Jon Kinnally, the author of I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. Joining me now from Sitges, Spain, it's author Jon Kinnally. His book is called I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. He's also a television writer. He wrote on Will and Grace for its whole run, basically, even the reboot, all of it. And he's worked on other shows as well, like the Robin Williams shows with the word crazy in the title. I can't remember the full name. It has the word crazy in it.
The Crazy Ones. The
Crazy Ones and Ugly Betty. And we used to take spinning class together. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
Who was that? Was that a Tommy era, or was it an Xavier era? Who was the teacher that we loved, or was it Deborah?
Oh my God, I don't remember. I think it was Tommy.
I think it was Tommy.
And Tracy Proust, my writing partner,
yes,
many, many years. She also taught there.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
yeah. Those spinning days, those crunch spinning days. Yeah.
Yes, they were those halcyon days.
Those halcyon days. So you moved to Spain a couple of years ago with your husband, Chris, who I also met back in the day when he was working in comedy at HBO. Is that right?
Comedy Central.
Comedy Central. I knew he was working in one of those places. So I want to talk about Spain in a bit, but first I want to talk about your book. It's called I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. And it's the title, there was a thing called I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, but I can't remember if that was a movie. Was that something I invented? It's a thing, right?
It was, it might have been both. It was a movie with Jill Clayburgh.
Yes.
But that's not why I called the book that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not my title. My friend Charlie Welch, I had a title that was like a working title. Can I swear on this?
You could totally swear, yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah.
I wanted to call it Dick Slapped by God. And it was a joke title, but also part of me was like, I really want to call it that.
Yeah,
and,
it's good.
It's a good expression.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you can't. And I knew I couldn't. So he came up with I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. So I can't take the credit for that. But I love Prance. I've always loved that word. So.
Yeah. Also, we took back Prance. Like, prancing was something we weren't supposed to do.
Right. You were,
young
it was
people.
negative.
Yeah, it was a negative. But now we can prance all we want because we're cool with it all. We're cool with everything.
But I'm too tired to prance. My back hurts.
That might be the title of this episode. I always pick a quote. The cover is a picture of you in drag with sunglasses, holding a sign that says "Tough Sissy." Tell me the story of the picture. Was it shot for the cover, or was it from something else?
No, that picture is like 20, 30 years old. Jesus,
right?
I got it. I think that was my friend Charlie, the aforementioned Charlie. I think it was in his apartment on Avenue C by Life or Time Cafe. I'm forgetting which cafe was on that corner, but in New York. And here's my memory of it. And I've learned since I wrote this book came out, some of my friends have DM'd me or whatever and said, like, those two things happened different day. You put them on the same day. That was 1 year apart. You know, the time thing, I get confused. But my memory of that is Giuliani, our hideous mayor at the time.
Yep.
And I think Trump just awarded him a Medal of Honor or some bullshit. But he was the mayor, and I think that year he had decided the gay pride parade it's not going to go down Fifth Avenue like it had for decades.
Right.
It was going to move to First Avenue.
Right. Because
of then it'd be better for traffic, but really better to have the gays pushed to First Avenue.
Right.
And so there was a counter march, a protest march. I think it was a drag march. And this could be where your listeners will correct me, but that was us getting ready for it. And we all marched down Fifth Avenue anyways. So I think there were 2 pride parades that year. Whatever year that was. So that was me getting ready for it. It's not real drag. It's like half drag. I put sunglasses on. I don't think I have any makeup on. Shame on me. But I also liked, that time I liked the half drag of it, the sloppy drag.
Yeah, the sloppy drag of it.
Yeah.
I used to do little sketches with my friend Jack Plotnick, who had a character named Evie Harris, who Girls Would Be Girls. Like, and sometimes it'd be like, just do Evie in a box, which was basically big glasses, maybe lipstick. Like, it was the wig. Like, it was, if they weren't, if it wasn't a big gig, right. Just do Evie in a box. Right. So that was your thing. But you write about being sort of drag phobic as a younger person, and then kind of having a switch flip for that. Can you talk a little bit about that? That's one of the stories. Yeah, it's one of the stories in the book.
Yeah, I pivoted. Well, it was all secret shame with me.
Yeah.
From anything gay related, it was all like secret shame. Even when I finally came out and embraced who I was and out loud and proud, I never got away from that Catholic shame and that fear and all that. I tried very hard. I don't think I'm still away from that, but I'm prancing as fast as I can. And so the drag thing, I supported drag and I loved it. And I was, out loud and proud about drag, my drag friends and blah. But a part of me was like always a little bit like when we went to events and the news was there and they would always shoot drag queens because their eyes, the cameras would go to the drag queens. And so I always had a little bit like, And I remember there was a march in Washington and, one of the drag queens, there were drag queens and I love them, but one of them had like a sign that said, and I can swear, you said I could
sure,
swear.
Yeah.
It said suck cock for Jesus. And I remember thinking, oh God, really? Cause I see all the cameras are going there. Is that the message? And, but I didn't say anything out loud because I didn't like those feelings and I knew they were wrong.
Right.
So we went to, some friends and I went to the South on a trip and, we driving around. I think we probably looked up gay bars in maybe the Yellow Pages. I don't know. And we found this awful shitty one. It looked like it was closed and burned down, like wood in the window. But you go down a basement in the back and it was in Louisiana, I think, or Mississippi. And there was a drag show. And I remember being very like kind of high and mighty, if that's the right word about it. Like, oh, we're gays from New York. We know drag. This is going to be deliciously bad. And it kind of was. But when I saw this drag queen, her name was Ashley Outfit. I never forgot that name because it's amazing. And, in her like, Goodwill mother of the bride dress she bought at Goodwill or whatever. And I talk about her Tammy Faye wig and all. And, it would have been easy to laugh at her, and we probably did at first, but then she went into her number, Wind Beneath My Wings, and she had a dove or a pigeon, I don't remember, but somewhere on her, and she released it, at the end of the song, and it was powerful, not for the bird necessarily, but who came, who was okay, but I think hit the ceiling pretty quickly because we were in the basement. And it was that moment where I had an epiphany, which was going to be my new drag name, but I never ended up being a drag queen. But that I'm an asshole for judging her. She was doing what she loved. She had such commitment. She went out and got a bird, and I hope she did it in a humane way,
right.
And maybe released it. But from then on, I was like, I kind of get it. I get it, and I embraced my inner drag hag, and I worked with drag queens I had before, but now I was working. I was misunderstood. Once dumped a can of beans down my underwear for some reason on stage at the Pyramid. I don't remember the context. Maybe there wasn't any. But, I love drag. Yeah. I love drag now, of course. And it's now more than ever. We need these drag queens now more than ever because they're illegal now, pretty much.
You talk about Miss Coco in your book being there for you. And I know Coco as well. And also she was on Will and Grace. Yeah. Was she somebody that you knew in New York before coming to L.A.?
Yeah. My Luis, who I talk about in the book a lot, who passed away, my boyfriend, in 92. My friend Jon, Coco had a show, and I think it might have been her first show ever, I think.
Right.
And in drag as Miss Coco, and she did a cabaret number at a place called, it was either called, it might have been Rose's Turn, it called at the time, or it might have been the Duplex.
Right.
Do you remember the piano bar in New York in the Village? And upstairs, Coco had this show, and my friend John, who was waiting tables there, said, "You got to come see this drag queen. She's amazing. She's so funny." And I went and saw her and loved her, and I brought Luis, and he loved her, and he brought his friends. And suddenly, I'm not taking credit, but she had audiences that we didn't have anything to do with. But she just started to get huge from that show, and we became friends with her. I guess because we came so often. And then I've stayed good friends with Coco Clint for years. So I've known him for like 30 years or more. And, he finally came out to LA at some point, and we had him on Will and Grace, early on Will and Grace, but then brought him back in the later run for, to be recurring because he's so fucking funny.
Yeah, he's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
How did this book come about? Did you just start writing stories, or did you always know, like, I want to write a book? How did it evolve?
I was always envious of my friends who had books had their own book like on a shelf in their house, and I thought, like, oh my God, you have a book. You wrote a book that's impossible to do, but you did it. And I always wanted one. And I was jealous, and then I would write a couple stories because how friends would ask you, and you probably get the same thing. Will you do a reading? I have a reading night. Will you do a reading on my night at whatever place? And you go, yeah. And then you write something. And then I did 2 or 3 or 4 of those for somebody. Beth Lapidus was one. And then I had these stories that I liked, and I was like, well, I put them away. And then COVID came.
Yeah.
And then people weren't working, and then there was strike after strike after strike. And then there was no work after that. So there was this period of time where like money was not coming in, and we were hemorrhaging it. And I looked at my stories, and I thought, well, I wrote a few more because I thought maybe I have a book. And I sent them to my agent, who was like, these aren't his words, but he was like, no one wants to hear, no one wants a memoir from a middle-aged white gay guy. Pass, And he was nicer about it a little bit.
But that was the subtext.
I got the message.
Yeah.
I got the message. I was several years, or I don't know how many years, too late.
Yeah.
For that kind of thing. And I thought it should be that way. There should have been other voices out there.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We got to hear from other voices, and the big part of me was like, yes, get other voices and let's hear their memoirs. But then another part of me was like, but I want a book.
Yeah.
So I kept writing, and I found this. My husband Chris Young and his partner Susan Ottaviano, his writing partner, they have pointing because he's over there. They have a book out a couple years ago called A Green Witch's Guide to Magical Plants and Flowers, and they found this agent, and I talked to her, and she was like, oh, I like your book. She read it. Most of it was mostly done. So she got a publisher for it, and then it became real. And I was like, holy shit, now it's very real because it came out. I'm going to New York to do a reading, and it's reality.
And you did
Will you come to the reading? Yeah.
Yeah. I like the way you write your stories because you'll bring in things from different parts of your life that tie together with a theme. They're always funny. There's a little bit of heart in there. It's very unique in its style. What did you sort of discover as you were writing it? Did it come easily or was the fact that you just started writing stories sort of take the pressure off?
The fact that I'd written some things for those readings took a little bit of the pressure off because I knew I could write a story.
Yeah.
And I had ideas, and this is an interesting, it worked for me and maybe it works for other people that are listening if they want to try it. I had written I started writing stories about just a paragraph or 2 paragraphs long about stories. And then I had a bunch of them and I started to think I'd go on walks. And I started to think, well, do those actually fit together? And then I came up with the idea of this theme because, by the way, just backtracking a little bit, one of the reasons I was told too is that no one's going to give a shit about your memoirs because it didn't have point of view. It didn't have a way in. It was just funny stories. And so white middle-aged gay guy, funny stories. So I came up with this theme, this loose theme about, do young gays remember the before time? Do they know what the struggle was? And I know that's very general. I was speaking very generally because I know, young gays in Mississippi can't, they might get harassed for wearing nail polish, probably still. Back then, I know now, probably even more. But I had that loose thought, and so I was able to just use that to jump from, to basically talk about myself. To say, don't forget your past, don't forget the struggles that got us here, because there was AIDS at the height of the AIDS crisis, and there was this, but there were also my milestones, my personal ones that I'm going to write about too. So it was kind of using that thin thread, I could pull things through, and it also helped me put stories together that didn't seem like they might necessarily be related.
Right.
I found a way to string them together. I don't know if that's the best way to write, in shoving things together. But in my case, I think I did an okay job doing it. And sometimes when I didn't, I threw it away.
But it's unique. I liked it. I liked the way those stories wove together with a current theme. You talk about your early crush on the model on the Doan's Pills box, who you don't even see his face. He just has a muscly back and he's in pain, right?
Yes. I'm obsessed with that. I was obsessed with that when I was a kid. I took it from my mother's room. And I don't know what I did with the pills. I probably threw them away.
You just leave the box.
I imagine, or maybe I left them in the box. But my mother, I imagine her just where's my back is killing me. Where the fuck are the? But I still have that original box. I schlepped it with me to L.A. and now it's in Spain. I just, because I could put my imagination on what he looked like.
Yeah,
I could, and I really made him in my mind look like Tom Selleck from Magnum P.I.
Of course.
And, now I don't like so much praising Tom Selleck or giving him that much credit because, I know his politics, or I think I do. Google does. And so I don't like that association, but that's who I pictured him looking like, with a hairy chest and Tom Selleck. And in pain, but nice. Never using his pain as a reason to be angry or lash out at his kids. So he was a martyr.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a martyr, but he was that, and he was everything. He was everything. Dad, he became everything. He was my confessor. I should get that box and confess things to him now. Maybe that's when I need someone to talk to.
Right. Maybe you need a big blow up of it to hang on the wall. It sounds cool. My version of that was there was an ad for Angel's Flight pants and disco outfit, right?
Angel's Flight
pants. Yeah. That was the brand of disco pants and vests and blazers and stuff. And there was an ad in near the back of the People magazine with Christy McNichol on the cover with the headline "Nifty Christy McNichol," who you mention in the book. We have a lot of overlap in our references. Yeah. And it would talk about how the ladies would be driven wild by this guy in these clothes. And people were starting to wear them in my town, and they were very body hugging and like, as my choir director once said, you could see the plumbing, and it just captured my imagination so much. To this day, I have a bunch in my closet because I sometimes wear it at Mismatch Game, the show that I host, if I'm feeling thin. This was my Doan's Pills box. Like it's so weird. Like the internet now has got a million images. Back then we might have had one that was like the flip the switch, and that was mine. And it's literally I found it online and I have it framed now in my front room. But anyways, yeah, I had a Doan's Pills box, but that's what it was.
Was it like a members only jacket? Was it that era?
No, it was before that. It was Saturday Night Fever. It was the disco pants with the little buttons up by the belt loop, but not really pockets. And then they have the piping down the front and the back. Yeah. And
I think of the Bee Gees.
Yes, total Bee Gees era. Yes, absolutely. And I think Willie Ames wore them in Scavenger Hunt, the movie, because I slowed motion the DVD down or the video to make sure. But that's not important right now.
Well, you got to know.
You got to know. You got to know. You got to know. You write about losing your virginity or the first time you had a sexual encounter, and it starts off with one intention and could not go further in the other direction. It's just very comical, and it's at a truck stop. Yeah.
Yes. There was
in what state? What state were you in?
This is New York State. It was Syracuse, New York.
Right.
The Salt City.
Yeah.
And we lived like maybe a mile away from I don't want to say truck stop. It was a Motel 7 or 6.
Right.
Shit, I forgot. And it was off the freeway, the interstate, and not far from this bar that I started going to early on, because no one carded back then, and I had a mustache and whatever.
You looked older than you were. You matured early. It sounds like. Yeah, I was the opposite.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it was like, when am I going to get puberty?
We would not have been friends.
Yeah. No, I remember him being in freshman PE, being like, half the guys had pubes and some didn't, and I was in the latter category. And I was like, when is this going to happen?
And they made you shower. Did they made us shower?
Yes, it made you shower. And so it was the difference in maturation was striking in those showers.
I make people shower. Why do that to kids?
PE was such anxiety induced. I always had a fear of losing my locker or forgetting my combination. I had so much locker anxiety. So that's a whole thing. But
it is a whole thing.
You set off to go to this truck stop to lose your virginity to a woman. You're going to get a hooker, right? That's the plan.
Well, I was 14. I thought, like, it's time. Like, my friends were like having sex or talking about having it.
Right.
I mean, who knows? But they were objectifying women,
right?
At least I wanted to be able to do that. But I thought I guess my thinking was if I could have sex with a woman before I had sex with a guy, or didn't want to do that, but that would just set me on the right course.
Yeah,
it's sound thinking. I mean, you can't find any flaws in that. But I rode my bike down, and I tried to dress maybe nice. I don't know, a button-down shirt maybe or something, and I had I stole a bottle of banana liqueur from my mother from the cabinet, because my mother loved that.
Right.
And I drank almost all of it, and I went out in that parking lot over and over again, come back to my room, never saw a woman, not one woman. And I knew or heard that there were hookers there. That's what we called them back then.
Yeah.
The sex workers in that parking lot, I knew it. And I don't know why there weren't any. I mean, this was like a big truck stop. 2 trucks stopped there and stayed at this when they got too tired, because I don't know if crystal meth was invented yet. I don't know.
Maybe not.
But, to keep the truckers going. But and then so finally I went out in a park. I mean, I was crying and praying. I think I was probably praying. And I say in the book that I wonder if God ever got a prayer to put hookers in a parking lot for
right.
Women. But he didn't. And or me, maybe I turned out to be the hooker, because I saw this guy. I looked up, and the only person I saw that night was a trucker by his truck and leaning against his truck, and he kind of just did that nod with the head, that almost imperceptible nod, and I was like, okay. And I just walked over to him, and we got up in his cab, and my brain was screaming, this is the opposite of what you came here to do. But then I guess my heart or my dick was saying, no, you just go along with it. See what happens. And, I asked for $20 and I got it. So I was, who's the hooker now? But
that was one of the parts that made me laugh out loud, because you had this experience where you're like, well, should I be doing this? Oh, okay, fine. Cause you found pleasure in it. And then the way the timing of it in the book made me laugh out loud when,
good.
Yeah. It was very funny. But also poignant and like, oh my gosh, those moments when we were trying to find out who we were. Right.
Well, I was trying to create a journey too through the book, like, and I know it jumps around in time, so I was hoping it could still become clear the journey of my gayness, and I think maybe many others, which is like, no words for it, but you feel different, and then you see the words for it, and you're like, oh fuck no, I don't want to be that, and then you're like, I like girls, and then you're like, well, maybe I'm bi, whatever. David Bowie was, so I'm fine with that, but maybe I'll try to be less, more bi for girls than bi for boys. And then there's a vague area where you want to come out, but you're unsure and who to come out to first, and blah blah. And then you go to a city and and the gloves come off, and you're gay. But that was kind of a journey that I had, and I think a lot of people my age and maybe younger even can kind of relate to that journey. So yeah. But interesting about that story is I wanted to read it. Who does that show Risk? I can't remember his name. It's Kevin something. He does
in Los Angeles? Yeah. I don't know.
It's a reading series, but I think it's also done online.
Right.
Anyway, I sent him that story as something to read, and he got back and he said, he was really uncomfortable with the difference in the age thing, because you were 14 and this trucker, there's a huge, it was not consensual, and I realized I had never thought of that, not once writing that story, that it was like that age thing was a problem. And it's so interesting to me that it never crossed my mind.
Right.
And I don't see it as non-consensual. I don't even see it as weird. And that's telling and something very interesting that I learned. But
not that unusual, not that out of the ordinary. I didn't think of it until you said that, that story. I didn't think of it.
I think it might be a generational thing.
Yeah, I think
it's probably generational.
I mean, we're really kind of the same thing. I've had a bit of a evolution in how I think about being gay and how important it is to talk about coming out and being an example and all of those things, which is, early on it felt like important. We were coming out and all of that stuff. And then there was a point where maybe we thought we're fine now and we can just focus on other things. And there was always people talking about characters in shows that just happened to be gay. Like everything's fine. And then I started to realize, oh no, there's a lot of stuff from that time. It's really important to think about and to process it. There's ways that I'm still affected by it, and I really chaps my ass that to this day, for most people coming out, if they're coming out to their family or their friends, they can either break even or lose. There's no winning. Nobody ever goes, that's great. You
don't think so?
I hope.
Young people?
Maybe, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe for young people there is, that's great, but I bet even the parents are like, we love you anyway. Like, instead, there's no win. You're either going to break even or you're going to lose. And
I understand.
And and that upsets me when I think about that. It makes me feel, in a way that I pretended it didn't for 20 years when we were all trying to be cool, right? I don't know. Right. So I think it's important to talk about these stories and these times that you talk about in the book.
That aren't so clear cut.
No.
Or even kind of, that are sort of uncool. Maybe the win you can think of is for the person, for you. Maybe that's the win, because, like you were saying, you either are even or worse off. But I guess the win is because you said it out loud to someone. And then there's weird, to me, it's so different. Coming out isn't just, it's two words, and it's not enough to encompass the whole thing. You come out to yourself, and then you tell someone, and then, you dip your toes in the water by telling someone, and then you're not sure, and then you tell your parent. There's an order of people you sort of tell. So it's a huge, long thing for me anyway. It took place over many, many years. Maybe it's easier now. Maybe it's shorter. You can just put it on Facebook.
And be done, right? One of the most moving, one of the chapters I think that moved me the most was about you appearing in a production of Chorus Line. And I forgot to do this, but I was going to ask you to read a little bit of it from the end. Do you have the book handy? Would you do that?
No, I don't have it at all.
All right, there it is. It's page 86. I'm sorry, 86.
86.
But you're talking about Ron Medici. Am I saying his name correctly?
Well, that's what everyone said. I think he always corrected him. Medici.
That makes sense. Medici. Yeah. But you put together, you juxtapose your obsession with the movie Star is Born with Barbra Streisand with being in chorus line in college and playing the role of Paul. And you talk about the director and how he was like one of your first role models in terms of like being gay, and like he saw you in a way. And I related to that so much because I did college shows, and it's a time when you're like looking for people to kind of get you. And what you write about him in the end of that chapter really moved me. So would you mind reading like the two paragraphs starting for me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And just, you're right about Ron. I think it helped. You need someone who gets you as the first, as one of those early steps, I guess. And not everyone is going to get that. I did, and it sounds like you did. And it's just someone who can fucking get you and sees you.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's so powerful. I think about
it's
that.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
For me, he was John Norman Howard. Star is Born.
Star is Born.
Debbie
Chris Christopherson's character that saw the star quality. What was special about Barbra Streisand?
Yes. Yeah. He saw I'm Barbra Streisand, I guess, in this version.
A little bit.
Not Lady Gaga.
No.
So for me, Ron was like John Norman Howard, Debbie Allen, guardian angel, and fairy godmother rolled into one compact Italian man. I'd like to think that if your parents don't understand you or give you what you need, something, the universe, I don't even know if that exists, I have my doubts, something will provide someone who does. Someone who sees something in you that you didn't, and you don't. Someone who arrives in your life just when you need them, to give you whatever it is you need to keep going. Someone who shows up with a key when you are faced with many locked doors. And Ron was that person for me. A chorus line was a pivotal moment in my life. I learned I could be adequate in a musical. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah. Go ahead and finish the chapter. I love that I could be adequate in a musical.
I learned I could be adequate in a musical. Yay! And after several years of doing this and that, I realized my acting career really peaked with that show. And that was okay because it allowed everything else in my life to happen. Thanks to Ron, there was a possibility that I could become one singular sensation every little step I took.
I love that.
And that's when it was the book.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And you talk about starting out as a performer. And one of the other funny things about that chapter is there was a very weight conscious conversation going on. Like, did he tell you all that you guys were all too fat one time in rehearsal?
Yes. He told us we were too fat, and
I love a chunky chorus line. I do. I think it's great.
It's college. We were the first college. I think that this is what I heard, and I think it's right. They did on Broadway, they had a national tour, and then after the tour closes, then the rights can go to other things.
Right.
So we were the first college to get the rights after the national tour closed, I think, to get the rights to do a course line. So we felt like a lot of pressure, a lot of weight on our shoulders to do a good version. And this is college. Everyone has 10 pounds.
Yeah, the freshman 15. Come on.
Yes. And some weren't freshmen, and they haven't taken it off, and it got even worse.
And also, it affected the poster, right? There was some guy that designed the poster that didn't like you, and he's jealous you got the part.
Well, I shouldn't have got a part in a musical because I couldn't sing at all, and I couldn't. I mean, I faked it as best I could. And Paul, thank God, he's a Puerto Rican drag queen. I should not have been playing a Puerto Rican. This was a different time. But he's also he doesn't sing much. He has a really little
he breaks your heart,
solo part.
Yeah.
Little solo part. And I remember when I finally did it in a rehearsal, people were just like, "Oh," and you never want that reaction to like singing or something where people just, "Oh, sweet," So I think he was mad that I was cast because I was like Ron's, what do you call it? What's the word? Ron's favorite or whatever.
Yeah, your teacher's pet, kind of. Yeah,
teacher's pet. Yes, and this is my thinking because there felt like there was some like, who is this person? He's not in theater. He's not a declared major. He's not a theater major. who is this person
coming in and getting our parts? I know.
Undeclared,
it's
undeclared major, undeclared gay.
Yes.
Like I wasn't out.
Yeah.
And so he put this poster. He drew it. He put it around campus, and I saw when I went into for a class, it was up, and I looked chunky in it. And
it's the full line. It's not just you. It's the full line. The poster?
Well, everyone looks chunky, but I guess I don't give a shit about anyone else. I was looking at what I look like. I don't think I looked like that. And he gave me no package whatsoever, just like that, just a V. And it wasn't like that on the other men in the thing. So I just attributed that to the fact that he was angry at me for either getting that part or being involved in it in the first place when I can't really sing and being Ron's pet. And so I actually, I fixed it. I didn't fix it all around campus, but a couple of them that I saw every day, I fucking fixed it with a Sharpie.
I love that. You don't still have that poster. I would love to see that poster. That's hilarious.
No, I do, but it was in storage. I tried to find it for, I do have that poster. I have a picture of it.
Yeah.
I put it on Instagram, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go look. But you were also in the closet playing like the gayest part in the show, pretty much, like the heartbreaking gay guy. Would your parents come to the show? Like, who were you telling people about the show? How are you managing that?
I didn't tell my parents, or I did tell them. I told them in a weird way, which I often did things. I kept a distance. So I said, I'm doing this show I'm at Oswego. Course line. Oh, do you want to come? Yeah. I'll let you know. What vague, knowing full well I would never invite them. Yeah. Never, because I was in that area that I talked about in my kind of gay journey where I was like a little toes in, the shallow end, but not ready to my parents see me on stage crying and in tights and talking about my parents seeing me in. Paul's parents come backstage and see him in drag for the first time. They have no idea about what he does or who he is or anything. And it kind of paralleled that to me a little bit, not at the time, but later, that I couldn't have that experience.
Right. That's too much like life imitating art. It's too much. At one point, you were put into speech therapy because you had a lisp as a kid. And there's a sentence in that chapter that resonated with me in my life so much, where you're like, you imagine your parents thinking, Jesus Christ, this kid's going to end up gay if we don't do something. And I can think of those moments in my childhood where they're like, we're going to go camping. Oh, we're going to go to Boy Scouts. Like those attempts, like
you want to shoot some hoops.
Yeah. Like those things that they try to do to butch you up. But I
helped them. Yeah. I helped them that too. I was not as guilty, but like I went along with it because I thought I do have to do this until a certain time when I didn't. But at first, I thought I've got to take baseball. My older brother by 2 years was great at sports, great at sports. So then I'm expected to be. So he's on Little League and he's a left-handed pitcher. He's doing amazing. And people are talking about him for the minor leagues, whatever. And then, I've got to do Little League. I've got to do it. I hate it. And I had to do it. I convinced myself. So when my father said, let's shoot hoops, I was like, okay, this is what I got to do. I took shop in high school for a few days until I
have all of these rites of passage. I did not do Little League, but there was the pressure of, is he going to do it? And what if he doesn't do it? And I didn't. Somehow I didn't. And there was shop class, and you either had to make a gun rack or a little drawer thing. Guess which one I picked? The little drawer thing. All of these little things were so similar. I just related to it so much. I was the kid in my town that had a pool. So there's a story about you with a friend that has a pool. But you guys would reenact Poseidon Adventure, which to me was the movie that scared me more than any other movie. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking there was a wall of water coming toward me. It's the shot of the wall coming, the wall of water. But you and your friend would act it out the whole. And who would you usually play in that scenario?
Oh, I was only really the priest, and probably that was my choosing. He wanted to play all the girl parts, and he had great legs, and I wasn't going to argue. Yeah, probably a little of internalized homophobia too. But I played the priest, or I played Roddy McDowell, who was the. For anyone who doesn't know, for your younger listeners, they know the remake probably, but he was just this Femi kind of steward. We all, looking back now, we know he was gay and
right.
Femi, but I didn't know at the time, but I played those two. We couldn't fill out the entire cast. There just weren't enough. Usually it was me and him.
It was just
and
you
we
two.
kind of blended the characters. We blended them together.
He was giving you Pamela Sue Martin, just stuck up on the table, having to jump. Amazing.
That's the best part. That's the best part.
But then there's sort of a poignant thing at the end where you find out later that he had passed away. Is that right? That friend? Yeah,
we lost touch. God, we didn't know. I wish we had not. I wish we had stayed friends throughout the I'm gay too kind of phase, because we would have been such good friends. But we became kind of we go in and out of friendship. We'd have fights and stuff like boyfriends, and then I don't know. And then you go your separate ways in high school, or I don't know exactly when, but we lost touch, and I didn't think about him much until my mom called to say, Danny died of leukemia. And I remember seeing or maybe she sent me the obituary. It said leukemia. And I knew, and she got really quiet. She's like, I don't think it was leukemia, and I knew what she meant. And she knew I knew. And it was tragic to me. And I just thought this could have gone so different if I could have felt better about telling someone, or felt better about being gay, and not, and him too. Because I know I kind of kept tabs, but I got pieces of information about him over the years. I don't know from who. And I wish we had that freedom to be who we were. We might have been lifelong friends, if not more. I don't know. Maybe, but I resent that.
Yeah, I have friends like that. I have somebody that we could have had a real love affair, I think. I think it was one without it being that.
It was that.
And I look back and I'm like, that could have been something else. I mean, it's poignant. As an actor, you appeared in one of the most unique art forms that there is, karaoke videos. You were an actor in karaoke videos. So were you like the brooding hunk in like Jesse's Girl karaoke? Like what kind of scenarios?
It was before Jesse's Girl. These were, this was in the early stages, I think, of karaoke.
Yeah.
So, I did a bunch of them. They paid $50 each. Cash and pizza, pizza and Coke, and I think I brought costumes, and I needed to play a saxophone in one. I don't know if I found one somewhere, but I was the guy in the background loosely telling the story of the song. And I remember, that they had rented like a '50s car, and when they found like this '50s looking drive-in kind of place. For meals, and I think I had a fight with my girlfriend, and we probably used dialogue, but obviously they weren't recording anything. And it was a test of my acting ability. I remember one time, she kicked me out of the car for, was it? I don't remember what song it was for. I remember I Say a Little Prayer. I did that one.
Yeah.
And that was some twirling. She did a lot of twirling, and we did a lot of running around holding hands in Central Park.
Just so fun. Just such a crazy art form to be a part of. Like, but $50 is $50.
And I consider that good money to get. And I had to play the sax, and I'm pretty sure I was terrible. I wish I had copies of these. Yeah. By the Side of the Road, I think that was La Bamba.
Yeah.
I think. And
maybe they'll pop up somewhere. Maybe they're on YouTube somewhere. You eventually transitioned out of acting into writing. When you would work with actors on the shows that you worked on, what do you think of actors generally? Because I think they're kind of like magicians. I think they're kind of like magic people. I mean, they might drive you crazy in some ways working-wise, but I think what they do is so special. Sometimes I'm kind of baffled. I just kind of can't believe it. What do you think of them generally?
If they're good, I mean, I would add, if they're good, then yes, I have the same feelings you did. I mean, that cast in Will and Grace, I would just watch them and I would think, oh my God, like what they could bring. They were four of the funniest people. When I think of like Deborah making something funny, like she had the skill that you don't see in a lot of people, where she could cry funny, but also you got that she was upset.
Yeah, the crying was real.
It was real, but it was really funny. And how many people can do that? Not a lot. So I would often try to write her crying, or Tracy and I, or whatever, try to write her talking crying. But I know what you mean, and it also makes me think, when I think back about wanting to be an actor, I think I could have been okay. If I'd stuck with that, I would have been okay. I don't know if I would have worked. But I don't know if I would have ever gotten to that level. That level of those 4 actors I had the pleasure of working with. They were just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And seemingly made it seem effortless. Maybe it wasn't, behind the curtain. But I love working with actors. I love it. I love to, and we worked with some that we didn't love as much as others.
Sure.
But I'm not going to name names.
Yeah.
The Will and Grace ones were a treat.
Yeah.
And all the Ugly Betty actors. Oh my God, it was just a treat to write for these talented fucking people.
Yeah.
Vanessa Williams, Judith Light, Michael Urie, Becky Newton, America Ferrera, just such talent. And there is nothing better for a writer than to write for someone who's really good, could elevate.
You said that you liked writing crying scenes for Deborah because she could always make them magical. What were there things with the other actors that were like, oh, Eric's really great at this, or let's make sure we give Sean this? Or were there things that each of them had where you're like, oh, that's a sweet spot for them? Yeah,
Eric, dry, just the dryness of him, and then the occasional flare up of Queen, just a flare up of it. I thought he was just expert at
which
that.
Is very funny because that's his whole point, is he's trying to not be that, like, in a way, like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he could do anything. And Sean, obviously, physical, but also this emotional stuff when he had to bring it, which we didn't do a lot for him for some reason because he was so fucking funny. And Megan making anything funny. And if something, I remember saying for all 4 of them, but especially Megan, if something didn't get a laugh from the crew, and Jimmy Burrows directed all of them, so we'd come down for the run through, and he'd go, he'd say, oh, the crew didn't laugh at whatever joke, which meant it doesn't work, because if these actors could not make a joke work, you just automatically got rid of it. You didn't ask them to do it again or try it again or do this way, and you didn't get precious about your words. Even if you loved the joke, you just got rid of it because it didn't work. They couldn't make it work.
I got to write the cover story on Will and Grace for TV Guide. It was 1999, cool. And I wasn't out yet to my mother, and yet here I was writing the cover story on Will and Grace. So it was this great landmark achievement. TV Guide, that's everyone knows TV Guide, right? But also it's the gay show, and that's weird. And all of these fucking lines we all had to walk all our lives. Anyway, it was really cool to do it. And I remember when I was there, it was Sidney Pollack was in the episode, and that was cool. You got the job in kind of an interesting way because you were kind of down on your luck at the time, and you write in the book about getting 2 phone calls on the same day. Can you talk a little bit about that, or 2 bits of news on the same day?
Yeah, I and I've told the story once or twice, but it's a good story. I was cater waitering in L.A. and Tracy was teaching spinning. We talked about earlier.
Yeah,
at Crunch, and I came back from a gig. I think it was a Saturday or Friday night. And I had my shitty not vintage, but tux I bought at Goodwill or something, and where you have to try to repair it with tape and needles and safety pins and stuff. But so I got home from a gig, and it smelled like food, and I had 2 lights blinking on my answer machine. I press them, and the first one says, "Good news, Mr. Kinnally, your bankruptcy has gone through." And I was like, because I declared bankruptcy because I couldn't pay my bills and my student loan. And the second one said, it's from somebody at Will and Grace saying, Max and Dave really liked your interview and they want to hire you. So can you start on Monday at this time in this place? And I was like, oh my God. I think I called Tracy, and maybe she was home from spinning, or maybe she was still spinning. But at some point she got the message too, and we were hired, and we were very, very fortunate. I always want to stress that because, we had a great meeting. We had Michael Patrick King, who got our spec script to Max and Dave, who probably read, 5 pages of it at the most. And we got a meeting, and we kind of sold ourselves, even though we did not think for a second they were going to hire us because, we weren't those kind of people who thought that confidently. But they did. And it was amazing. And kind of like Cinderella until the day we went, and then I was like, I'm in over my head, right? I'm going to get fired any second now. When are they going to realize they made the mistake? Was my thinking for a while, and then at some point I was forced to drop that thinking.
Do you remember when you kind of got over that sort of imposter syndrome?
When it wasn't, I couldn't pinpoint a time because I think it got less and less and less over the first season, and maybe even over the second season, because I tend to do things slowly. So it probably took a good couple of seasons before I thought, I got this. There was a reason why I got this job. We got the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you?
But at some point, I never got over it 100%. I wouldn't say I've ever been over that 100%. Maybe now.
But you guys were there the whole time, right? That's remarkable. There's so much turnover in television. That says a lot. That's pretty amazing. Were there times when you were afraid, like, oh, this is it. This is it. They're going to clean house, or they're going to change, or did you feel pretty secure after a certain point?
We felt pretty secure.
That's fantastic.
Max and Dave were great. Max Muchnick and David Cohen, who created and ran the show, were just great. And no matter what level you were at, we were brand new. They wanted to hear your opinion and your stories and what do you think? And they were so great about that. And so we had such a good relationship with them, and they seemed to really like us. So I think I got over that. I think we never thought we were going to be replaced. I think.
That's awesome. Now,
let's go with that.
Why do you and Tracy work so well as a team?
I couldn't answer that, but we just did. We got together when we were waiting tables in New York, became friends, and she had a piece of writing, an idea, or maybe she started writing it, I don't remember. And we wrote it together, and we found that we had a similar sense of humor, so we kind of made each other laugh. So maybe that was it. That's it. And then the idea of structure and stuff and learning structure with us came later. At first, it was just like, what makes you laugh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we made each other laugh, and it was fun. I love the collaboration process. Writing a book isn't that.
Yeah, it's different.
But there's nothing more fun. Some of my best memories are being in that writer's room with Will and Grace and laughing a lot. There were times we didn't, but I don't remember those as much.
Yeah, you remember the good stuff. That's awesome.
I remember the good stuff. Yeah. Well, we mostly got out at 6:00 at night. It was a dream fucking job. Most nights we were home. We left at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hear stories about people on Friends leaving at 2 a.m. and just thinking, what are they doing all that time?
Yeah.
We get out at 6 and we rewrote a little bit on the floor. I mean, those aren't show nights, sorry. But we got out at 6, and when on show night, we did 4 hours, and we were out early. Staying till 2 a.m. on show night seemed crazy to me, and staying till 10 o'clock on just a regular writing day seemed crazy. Now, we did some of those later on. As our career went on, we started to do those, because the Will and Grace schedule was unique to Will and Grace, I think.
Yeah. You tell a story about Madonna in the book that I find enchanting. It delights me to no end as a Madonna fan. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was during a show night, obviously. Well, not obviously, but she was guesting on the show that week, and she came in 45 minutes late to the table read. And she walked in, and this is not in the book, but she walked in going, I know I'm late. I don't care. That was like her first thing. And I think she thought she was being funny, but I don't think anyone took it that way. None of us.
Right.
But she was funny on the show. And while she was waiting for her, those show nights were like raucous, like people screaming that it got like, it was too much to hear after a while, and to be thinking, if you could just enjoy it, but you're thinking and trying to pitch other jokes. And if something didn't work, you had to have a fix. And I just went backstage, not backstage, but I went behind the flats. I went in an area and no one was, and maybe it was a little quieter, but not really. But then the DJ put on Borderline. I think it was Borderline. And the crowd went crazy because they knew Madonna was there, because they saw her come out and do her first scene. And they went crazy. So Borderline comes on and they're all dancing in the audience. And I went back for some little bit of quiet, and I saw her waiting for her entrance while the cameras were moving to her scene outside of her apartment. And she was waiting there, and she was alone, and no one was around her, and no one could see her because there were flats all around except me. And I had a view to her, and she started dancing to her own song, to Borderline, and doing those moves. And I thought, and I really liked Madonna, but I was never a Madonna head. I had that one. I had like a prayer.
Right.
But I remember falling in love a little bit and thinking, oh my God, this is like some kind of innocence or something. I mean, I know she loves to be watched, but there was something kind of childlike about it, which made me like her more. The fact that she could just drop and do that. I don't know.
Yeah, that she could tap into joy, that she could find joy that had no value to it apart from her own experience.
It didn't require an audience.
Right.
She didn't require an audience for that joy. I mean, I think she does for everything else. But for that moment, she didn't need one. And also, I was aware that this is a moment. Nobody in the world is having this moment. I'm the only one. And so, Madonna.
Will and Grace was so groundbreaking in terms of the way it changed the culture. I mean, even Vice President Biden mentioned it when he came out in favor of gay marriage. Do you remember that moment when he was trying to meet the press? Yeah. Yeah,
it became big. Like the writers, the show wasn't on anymore. And, but we called each other, or maybe Max called people. I can't remember, but we all were aware of it. Sure. And like, oh my God, that's great. And then I think it was not long after that. I don't know the dates, but then Trump threw his hat in the ring. Yeah. And Max and Dave had decided to they decided to do an anti-Trump thing, get the four actors together and do an anti-Trump sketch, right. 5 minutes or whatever. And the actors were like, yes. They were on board. They all hated Trump and the idea of him. So they're like, yeah. And then that kind of became like, oh my God, they had so much fun working together and it was fun and doing it again that maybe we should think of a reboot.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about. So maybe we should thank Trump.
In a way. Nah.
Let's not. Let's thank Biden.
Yeah.
Let's thank Joe Biden.
Thank you. Is there a storyline or something that you are particularly proud of that you were able to get on the show?
Yes.
Or an episode?
Max came up with this great idea of letters. Well, it's not even a storyline for us, but we had a moment. It's a moment, actually. It was a story that Max came up with because he wrote letters to, when he came out and broke up with his girlfriend at the time when he was really young. I don't know how old, but she wrote letters to him. He wrote letters back. They kind of, maybe he saved them, but they were like about the heartbreak and the I'm sorry and kind of, letters like that. So he said, is there a story there? And people were pitching and and I don't know who came up with the story exactly, but it was like Will opened every one of Grace's letters and they were just like, I hate you. You ruined my life. You said you love me. Blah, blah. And Will said, what did you think of mine? And Grace was like, I never opened them. And he was like, what? But she had them. So she brings them out and they have a fight. And he's like, you never even read my fucking letters. How could you not know what I was going through and then she finally does read them. And in one of them, there was he alluded to the fact that he didn't want to go on.
Yeah.
That I don't remember how we worded it. We didn't say specifically, but you knew exactly what she got exactly what he was talking about. And there's a moment that Deborah has and they both play it, and Eric has no lines, but she's talking, but they're both amazing in it. And I was so happy we were able to do that because that is not something we would have done in the first run of Will and Grace. That was too heavy.
Yeah.
And the network, the studio, people wouldn't have, I think, liked. And even Jimmy probably, I'm guessing, probably would have thought it's too heavy, it's a downer. But it felt very real. And I think I could speak for Tracy too, is that we were getting that moment in there and having that episode that Max pitched we were very proud of that. And I think there was another story we liked to do, which we might have pitched, that Jack sees Rosario's ghost. And she has a message for Karen. I think that was the same episode. I think it was. That was a good episode.
Yeah.
And a good moment for one.
Yeah, I love that. I have barking dogs. I don't know if you can hear them. I have a few more things I want to talk about, and then we can wrap it up. You write about St. Vincent's, the place in New York City. You were part of ACT UP. You were really in the epicenter of that AIDS crisis in New York City. Like, I was in LA. I didn't have that kind of intensity around it. But you spent a lot of time at St. Vincent's, and so, but your boyfriend was there, but not for AIDS. He had cancer.
Leukemia. Yeah. weirdly, like the other guy.
But in the same hospital.
In my life, who didn't have it.
In the same hospital.
Yes. Yeah, they had it was a good hospital back then.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a Lululemon or whatever it is now.
I know. I keep waiting for the Ryan Murphy American Horror Story AIDS ward. Like, I keep waiting for the Ryan Murphy treatment of that, whatever that is.
We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that shit. Another one of those.
Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But you spent a lot of time there, and people would know you because you were visiting your boyfriend who sadly passed.
Luis went in and out of the hospital for a while, and the nurses loved him. I mean, he was so sweet, and sometimes we would go visit people he knew or I knew in the AIDS ward. And people just assumed he had AIDS, and he was like, I don't care. Let them assume whatever. It wasn't a big deal. He worked in AIDS research, and he got me a job working in AIDS research, and Tracy did too for a while. You get to know people. You get to know the nurses if you go around the same shift, and you always bring nurses something sweet or coffee or something. It just, I don't know. That's always the thing you do. And, and I spent a lot of time in his room, and I'd bring him these macrobiotic lunches and maybe dinners too, from Manhattan Center for Living. Marianne Williamson, remember her?
Yeah, of course.
She ran for president
years
ago. She had the Manhattan Center for Living, and they made macrobiotic meals for people with life-challenging conditions.
Yeah.
And they just gave these things out free, so I'd bring food to Luis, and I ate his shitty hospital food.
You would switch. You would bring him the good food, and you would eat his hospital food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would go in and out, and then there was a final time where he went in and he didn't come out.
Yeah.
And he always had visitors, and and then that's why getting nurses coffees and donuts and things like this are so handy, because then they look the other way when there's too many visitors. They don't get so strict about giving out those passes, and
because you brought them the Krispy Kreme or whatever.
Yeah. Which is what I brought them.
Yeah, you write about being there when Jodie Foster wins the Oscar for Silence of the Lambs, and everyone's mad that she doesn't come out. Which what an image! What a you could hear the people in the different rooms. Interesting.
I remember lying in bed with Luis, and I think our friend Tom was there too when we were watching the Academy Awards, and thinking, this is going to be huge. This is going to be powerful. How can she not come out? And she just didn't.
Yeah.
She did not thank her girlfriend of many years. And I just kept, and I was like, Jodie, really? And also, ouch for your girlfriend that you couldn't mention her name.
Do you remember her Golden Globe speech when she kind of begrudgingly came out? It was weird too.
Yes.
I think it was
weird. It's
weird for celebrities and all of that. So I'll give him some grace. You write about Luis that he was happy, happy, happy. And I'm very interested in happiness and what makes people happy and why are some people sort of happy. What did you observe about it? Why was he so happy? What was it?
It was in his nature. It was in his nature. It was a worldview kind of thing, but it was who he was. One of those people that smiles all the time, and I'm the exact opposite. I have to remind myself to smile. And so I kept wondering, what the fuck does he see in me? But he saw something, I guess. And, people want to be around people like him who exude some sort of buoyant, just positiveness and, not Pollyanna.
He was a sunny person.
He didn't like it when I got dark, he's sort of, and I'm very dark, and a lot of my humor is very dark. So that, it wasn't always like seeing eye to eye on what was funny and stuff, but, God, I try to use him as somebody who I should be more like when he was alive and even still. And I think people were drawn to him for that reason. It's why he had so many visitors all the time. And
that's why you needed to keep bringing the coffee and the good cup and the good donuts, not the bullshit hospital donuts.
No. But I think it has something to do with your face too. I wonder how much of it is physical. Like if you have a sunny smile, maybe that affects who you are.
Right.
I don't know what comes first. Your genes, happiness genes being passed down to you, or you get a bright, sunny smile, and that's suddenly you adopt that personality. I don't know. I don't have a bright, sunny smile.
You said you had resting something face, but I forgot. It's not. What is it? Resting what face?
Resting murder.
Resting murder face.
Which I do. I'm always
yeah. I don't.
Well, that's because I'm faking it.
Yeah, that's because you're thinking about murdering somebody. You write about another part of the book that moved me very much. You write about going to see The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me. It was right when Louise passed, right? Was it right after or
Louise Louise and I had we were going to go usher, because you could usher at things and not pay, and nobody had any money. So we had been set to usher in advance, pretty far, maybe a few weeks in advance, to see the show. And then he died. The night he died, I remember my friends were like, let's go do this, let's go do that. You can't be alone. And I was like, I'm going to go usher at The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me, because that was the night we were supposed to be doing it. That night. I left that part out. So, and I don't know why I remembered, but part of me was like, I think it would be a good way to honor him because he would have hated it if we just blew it off. He was honest,
right,
and stuff, and nice. And so I thought, this is a good way to honor him. I'll go usher at the theater and then sit and watch it. And I was glad I did. It was the right decision. And I don't know, there's this thing in the book that I talk about where I was kind of in a daze. I was in a daze before. It was the days before the big days, and then before before you can't stop thinking about it. I was still like in that headspace, and something started vibrating on my face. Like all over my face started vibrating, like crazy vibrating. And I don't know if I kept thinking, would someone see this? If I looked in the mirror, would I see all this? And it lasted a long time. And then it gradually, slowly went away. It must have lasted 4 or 5 minutes. And I thought, this means something. I don't know what, but it meant something, because I never had my face vibrate, and my entire face vibrate before. So
it was a sensation you had never felt before or since.
No. It could have been Bell's palsy, but I think Bell's palsy sort of stays with you.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't just pop in. Yeah,
it doesn't pop in and out. So I can't explain that, but I just explain it by saying it was something. It was something, and maybe it was maybe he was saying, you did the right thing by ushering, because if you blew it off, they wouldn't have ushers, and that would be bad. And we said we'd be there. Yeah.
Tell people how they can find the book. Is it available anywhere fine books are sold?
It's everywhere fine books are sold, I think. I don't know if it's like in indie bookstores. I don't know. Some it's in, some are not. I actually called a couple because someone said, call them and find out. One had them, one didn't. But most indie places, a lot of them tell you to order it online and they'll get it for you. Rather than just, I don't know if they call the publisher and get some anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. But it's at bigger bookstores. I like people, I encourage people to go to indie bookstores and gay bookstores and the smaller ones and blah. But it's at Barnes & Noble. Of course, it's on Amazon. It's in all those places. Bookshop.org is a good one to go to.
Yeah.
I think that you'll have to order it.
Yeah.
It's there. And I'm doing the audio for it next week, and we're recording the audio, so that'll be available.
That's fantastic. Are you doing that in Spain, or are you going to come?
I'm doing it in New York. I'm coming to New York next week. For September 17th and 18th, I'm doing a reading. The 17th is my reading, just me. And I'm doing a reading that night, hosted by my friend Blair Fell.
Who's been on this podcast. Yeah, I interviewed him for his appearance at Book Soup a few months ago. So, yeah, I know Blair. He's awesome. Yeah.
And then I go to Book Soup. But the 18th, Blair and I. And then 17th is another thing at the Bureau at the Gay and Lesbian Center. And then I go to L.A. for Book Soup on the 22nd.
Oh, awesome. I will try to come. I would love to come and see you there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll put up flyers. I'm going to post things on Facebook.
All of that stuff. A few things looking at my list. There are lots of fun things that we didn't cover from your book, but it's wonderful and people should pick it up. I'm curious, when you happen upon a rerun of Will and Grace, do you ever just stop and go, oh, I remember when we did that. Oh, this is what was going on. What's it like? Because you were there the whole time. Or are there times where you're like, I don't even remember this episode. Is there just so much that it kind of is a bit of a mind trip?
It is a little bit, and there are some episodes I don't remember, but I'm pretty good at remembering them. And I don't see it. I haven't seen it a lot over the years. I've seen little pieces of it.
Yeah.
When I watched an episode of Will Works Out, that episode for on Eric McCormack, Sean Hayes' podcast that they were doing. And
I understand that was sort of lost for a while, right? That was the one that was
yeah,
sort of lost.
Because it was the controversial episode. It says fag 5 times in it, so there's no sponsors. Sponsors all dropped out, and it didn't rerun for years and years.
And you wrote that, right? Didn't you guys write that one?
Yeah. And that one I saw, but before that, I don't think I'd seen entire episodes. I've seen snippets here and there. And for the most part, I remember them. And for the most part, I remember what the experience was like, if the show was troubled or if it was like easy, but if it was like a show that came out pretty easy and we shot and everyone had a good time. Or I remember the troubled ones that we couldn't find that kind of didn't work at the first table read, and then you have to try to find them and you got to do it fast because it's a fucking train that's moving, you know, the table read for the next one's coming right up. So you can't just, you have to find that story, you know? And so I remember those ones, and maybe that's bad to remember those ones more than the good ones. But
no, it's sort of human nature. But what happens in the Will Works Out episode? Is it showing now, like on when they stream it and stuff like that? Is it out there?
I think so. Yeah. I think it must be. I think I watched it on YouTube when I had to do that podcast.
Nice.
So, it's like it's an episode about internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
And, you know, like every sitcom would want to do in their first season. I don't think, I mean, to Max and Dave's credit, they let us do it. Tracy and I pitched it. Yeah. I think. And, they let us do it. And I mean, there was much discussion about it. Jimmy Burrows, I think, didn't love it. And of course, you know, networks, I don't know how it got made, but it did. And we ended up using the word fag 5 times and sponsors pulled out. And, you know, I think it's a good episode, actually. When I watched it for Eric and Jack's podcast, I thought it was really good. And I remember at the time everyone thinking, oh, if Eric refers to Sean as a fag, unbeknownst to Sean, I mean, Jack hears it, but Will doesn't know Jack heard it. That's ugly. It's an ugly color. And, you know, Will seems so ugly. When I rewatched it, I didn't think Will seemed so ugly. I thought Eric was great in it. Yeah. You didn't dislike him for that. But it was kind of an internalized thing, right? Homophobia, but also like a nuanced.
It's a complex thing to explore, maybe on a show that people are coming to just for laughs.
I think it was like I think we could have done that like season 8, the reboot, whatever. But initially, like no, they're just learning who these people are. Now they suddenly got to learn this ugly thing about him. And
I think it's cool that it exists and that you guys did it. You moved to Spain. I would love to talk to you more about that, but can you give us in a nutshell? Like there's so many people that I'm like, we're moving. You did it.
We did it.
What's been great about it and what's been challenging?
The great part about it is the food is amazing.
Yep.
The fruit, I've never had such good fruit in my life. We eat it for dessert. And I never thought of that as a thing.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like sugary enough.
No, it's so good. It's so good here. The food is so good. And the water is so warm in, a lot of the year. And, what else? Good stuff. People are so nice. I mean, I'm speaking generally, but Spanish people, oh my God, so nice. One day I was like having a bad day and somebody stopped and said, "Está bien? Are you okay?" And, never anywhere else would I experienced that. The challenging part though is moving, is packing up stuff, deciding what not to bring, and then bringing too much of it anyway, and the storage of it, and the getting it from storage, all the stuff that made us crazy. We brought too much stuff. We're both people that like stuff and like to have our stuff.
Right.
It's really hard. I don't know about you, but it's hard to let go of things.
Yeah. Did you keep a place in the States? Do you have stuff?
No. Okay. We sold our house.
Yeah.
We kind of had to. And, we had no ties except good friends, and miss our good friends, but it was the right thing to do for us.
Yeah.
But also for wanting to be out of the country with what came not too long after our move.
Yeah.
We didn't think he was going to win, but we weren't 100% sure. So we're like, do we leave now? Yeah. Plus, I thought I was retiring. I took my pension. I thought, I'm going to retire. We're going to move to Spain. We'll drink cafe and drink espresso at the cafe all day and blah. But it didn't. I felt like I wanted to be creative. I missed being creative. So then this book came out, and so I enjoyed doing that. But we're going to travel. Traveling is easier over here because,
there's so many different places you can go. Yeah.
2 hours, 2.5 to Paris at the most. But it's not too, the language thing hasn't been too hard, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning it, but it's hard to learn a language when you're whatever the age I say I am. That is a hard time.
Yeah.
That is a hard time to begin a language.
Yeah.
So.
I have a Spanish tutor that I see once a week on Zoom in Mexico, and I really love. Yeah. So I'm trying, but I'm not like doing tests or grading. I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it, but I'm enjoying it. Here's my final question. What does it mean to you to have this book out, to be able to hold it in your hand? Well,
I think that's very cool to have something you have done, and here it is, and I can pick it up. It's got my name on it, and I did this. And it's not easy, not everyone can do a book. So I always appreciated people who did, and was envious of them a little bit, and impressed at the same time. And now I've got that. It's something I can pull out off a bookshelf. Because these days I don't think, or maybe these books like this aren't huge money-making things, as you know.
Yeah.
And so what does it mean? It means I could put my thoughts together, put some creativity out in the world, hopefully make some people laugh, and some people also see a little bit of themselves in that. What I would like to happen and what I'm fine with are two very different things. But I like the idea of making of entertaining and having some effect, and then having this end product that I can pick up, take off my bookcase and put it back on my bookcase, and that kind of thing. So.
Something that struck me as I was reading it and also talking to you is that like big dramatic things happen in your book, like act up things and loss and death and all of this stuff, and it feels big things, but they were very typical of gay men at that time. That was the story for so many people, And I think that when you're talking about like wanting to show a later generation what it was like, I think that that's an important thing, because it was a whole generation of people. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone had their own stories.
I just want to say, I hope if it just appeals to people our age, if we're the same age, whatever age we say we are, close in years, then
whatever age we say we are, exactly.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it appeals to other people, because I feel like, and that's partly why I love Ryan O'Connell, and I would want him to write forward for anything. And I was so nervous to do it because I thought he'd go, I don't have the time, but he's a friend, and he was happy to.
Yeah, it's
and
very
also
funny.
I thought, maybe that'll make younger people read it. Yeah, it's really funny. And I hope it isn't just us, but if it is, it is. That's fine. I can't help that. I can do what I can do.
I'm going to leave this as a tease for the listener. One of the other things that made me laugh out loud is when you go to the Tina Turner concert and things go upside down. And I think you have a line that's something to the effect of, I guess we did need another hero. That made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Right.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Because you did need another hero. Yeah.
We all do.
We all need another hero. All right. This was great.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to come and see you at Book Soup, hopefully, if I'm free that night. I should be. This was delightful, Jon. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Good. I'm so glad. All right. Thanks again to Jon Kinnally. Come and see him if you're in LA or New York. He's doing these events soon. Isn't that cool? And also pick up his book, I'm Prancing as Fast as I Can. All right, so this happened. So what night was it? It was Thursday night, and I've done a couple of these things where you are paid to test out some technology by some mysterious company, and they pay you some good money, and you try on a thing or whatever. And they're testing out gadgetry and so forth. Anyway, I'm sitting there in the waiting room waiting to do this thing, and I notice on my Instagram that somebody has tagged me in a story, and it's a guy that I know named Joshua, who is a dancer, and we were both on this commercial in the summer, and it's a shot from the commercial, and I'm like, oh my God, the commercial must have dropped, because you're not supposed to post anything until after the commercial comes out. So in June, I got to go to Las Vegas and shoot a commercial. And so I saw that post from Joshua and I Googled, the thing that you might Google to find it. And sure enough, the commercial had dropped 12 hours before that. It's called Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas. It's from the Las Vegas Tourism Board, I think. It's no specific hotel. It's just Vegas generally. I got to do it in June, and I auditioned for it through my agent. I did a self-tape, and they booked me, and I got to go to Las Vegas for 4 nights, I think. It was wild, you guys. We stayed at the Waldorf Astoria. And my little section, we were dancing valets. It's so wild to talk about this commercial because I signed a couple of NDAs. So now I can be told. Not that it's that juicy, but anyway, it's fun. The commercial is this woman is working in an office. The dancer actress who plays the protagonist, or they call it the hero on the call sheet. I guess that's commercial lingo. Her name is Liv Batista, and she's fantastic, a wonderful dancer, and just kind of winning. And anyway, she's in an office bored out of her mind, and she starts daydreaming, and she sort of daydreams her way into Las Vegas. And the keyboard that she's typing on turns into a piano, and then she ends up walking up a wall and turning the wall into a rolling skateboard and sliding down Fremont Street. And then when she gets to, we're actually at Circus. When she gets there, she gets off the kind of rolling wall skateboard thing, and she passes by 5 valets, and I'm one of the dancing valets. It goes by very quickly, but there are 4 other people with me, and we got to know each other pretty well because we were in rehearsals together, and we were kind of this little group of more mature dancers, I would say. And it's Janelle and Carrie and Allison and Tony. And so we were on a text chain, and we're like, the video's out, the commercial's out. And, the first time I saw it was on a TikTok. So the whole thing was it wasn't the full frame. So I'm like, oh my God, you can't even see us. But then when I watched it, you can see us. And I am visible. I think visible enough to get the buyout, which is how they pay you in commercials. Once it airs and you can be seen, my agent thinks I'll get the buyout, which is nice because I need it desperately. So anyway, it was really thrilling to see it come out. It's very much like the storyboards. They did a fantastic job. The choreographer was Dina Thompson and her assistant, Diana Schoenfield. And I forget the name of the director, but he was super cool. Vertan. It just turned out cool. And I'm really happy to be a part of it. It was just fun to see it out there and to have this commercial running. And apparently it ran during the first NFL game of the year, which is pretty good. It's a great commercial. And, tourism in Vegas has taken a hit from what I understand. So hopefully this will do a little bit of good. The other thing wild is that I booked another commercial last week and I shot it this week. And I didn't sign any NDAs, but I'll talk about it when it comes out, if it comes out. So that one was cool. I didn't have to audition. They just saw my photo and, I don't know, maybe my Instagram or whatever. And thank God for dancing, man, because I'm going to make more money dancing this year than I am writing. And that's true. And I'm grateful for it. So wild. Anyway, welcome to Las Vegas. Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas is the campaign. And if you can't find it anywhere, it's on YouTube. You can check it out. It was really cool. And I'm really... It was a definite highlight of this very strange year. So, all right, that's enough for this week. I want to give a shout out to Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Placement Music. We'll catch you next time on Dennis 81. Bye.